you're trusting Mother Nature to work out. Like, we're doing this video shoot today. Well, there's a chance of 40% chance of widespread thunderstorms. It's like, well, I hope this works out, but you know what I mean? You don't know. You're dealing with Mother Nature. It's farming. It's legalized gambling, man.
The Six, a helping hand with your land.
Neil from Essex here, out with Rick from Rick's Custom Baling. We're gonna go out here to this field and run a big baler today. Rick is gonna do some teaching for us. He's our resident expert here today on exactly...
Yeah, I learn every day, man.
Expert compared to me, Rick.
There you go, okay, fine.
When it comes to running a big baler, so we're gonna make some passes up and down through this field, tell you a little bit about the work that was done out here to get this field ready to be baled. Some of the things that Rick watches as we're going back and forth here when it comes to running this baler and making a really high quality hay product. So come along with us here, join us in the cab as we do a little bit of big baling today. So we spent a bunch of time here out in different equipment today. We were in the raking tractor, the small baling tractor. Now we're in the big baling tractor.
3x3.
3x3. So a little older case 3x3 baler.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with it though, man. I love this baler. It just makes nice chiseled bales and good bale shape. Yeah, but I mean, Friday nights, maybe other guys might go grab a drink, but I'll go out to my shop and look over this baler. Always making adjustments to it. I did go to big baler school. My dad and I, my buddy Adam, we went out to Kansas, went to big baler school just because you're baling your hay and you know you have a knotter issue. Maybe a bale hook breaks or something like that. Well, you can't expect a dealership to drop what they're doing, come right over. So kind of took it on ourselves, like, okay, well let's learn enough to be dangerous. And I always knew small square balers. I never really knew a big square with a double knotter system. So went out there to school and. But anyway, so a lot of our, anything that needs repaired, essentially, I'll do it myself. Yeah. But it's
a lot of value in knowing your equipment.
It is, man. Yeah, and just knowing how to run at the right speeds. Reading your, we're at what is it? I think it's at 1300 for my pressure. So anything over 1,000 on this monitor. It tells me that it's dry enough. A buddy hit me up the other day. He has a baler like this. He just got it. He says, how do I know essentially when my hay's dry? I see the pressure on there. And I said, if the pressure is over 1,000, like right there, it's 1120, it's dry. Anything under 1,000, the hay's getting a little tough.
So for somebody who doesn't know, that would be the pressure of your plunger stroke, right?
Well, that's the pressure of the chamber. That the cylinder's putting on.
Right, when the plunger's pushing it in.
Yeah, and essentially this is a self-contained system. Like it'll flash on my flakes per bale, it'll flash on my load, which that's the plunger load, and it'll flash on my chamber pressure. I set my chamber pressure at 170. Essentially, I leave it there all the time. And this is, I just keep my hydraulics locked in, don't touch it. You can't change your chamber pressure too much. It's a self-contained system. The plunger has load cells in it, and it'll realize how much load you're putting on that bale, and it'll adjust the chamber pressure. It'll take pressure off of those cylinders back along the chamber. It'll put pressure on depending what your plunger load is doing when you're hammering out those flakes.
So you as the operator then, as you're driving along here, we're what? Watching the size of the windrow that goes underneath of it?
Yeah, and that's a lot comes onto the rake operator, which is my dad, and I've bailed behind a lot of different guys raking, and that guy is by far the best. And I try to tell him it as often as I can. And it's a lot your flakes per bale. Now I'm running almost like ridiculous amount of flakes per bale right now, like high 70 or high 60, 70, because I'm talking and I'm really paying attention very good to my speed. And we're in a lighter second cutting crop. When I'm in a first cutting crop, I like to be at 32 to 38 flakes per bale.
Okay.
Any less than 32 flakes a bale, you're not allowing that baler to really push the density onto that bale. You're going to be making light bales. And any higher into the 40s on first cut or even second cutting, heavier second cut, you can go faster. You're just wasting time.
Yeah, so we were talking about that in the small square too. So smaller, I think that was 12 flakes a bale in a small
usually,
baler.
Yep. And that's how when I'm running a small baler, I'll watch that feeder fork coming across, and I'll count that 12 times. There should be a bale that pops out.
So just making sure that we're compressing the hay properly.
Yeah, and that's another big one. A guy approached me the other day about his New Holland was making erratic bale lengths, and he was kind of blaming the baler, and I kind of blamed him because you want 12 flakes, roughly 10 to 12, whatever, in a bale. Because if you're getting less than that, what you're doing is increasing the size of each flake. 12 flakes in a bale, those flakes might average 3 or so. Right? You start doing 8 strokes in a bale, what you're doing is you're just making bigger flakes. So when that needle comes up to tie off that bale and you're making big flakes and it ties it off one too late because you put a big flake in there, it's going to make you a 4-inch or 6-inch or whatever their size flake is, longer bale. Really, your bale length comes a lot in just staying consistent rows and the correct speed, just getting 12 flakes per bale.
So looking at chamber pressure, we're looking at flakes per bale.
Yep.
Anything else?
Just your direction where you're driving. Like, it'll have arrows, directional arrows if you need to go to the left, to the right. You just follow that. It's pretty simple. You're also watching your stuffer chamber. It's a dot right here that's flashing. That's each time the stuffer operates. And the stuffer is essentially a pre-compression chamber. It's building up the flake that's going to be sent up into the bale chamber. So you have it set so that you can change whatever size flake you want. You can make adjustments inside the baler.
So you mentioned driving left and right.
Yeah.
So where is your indicator for that?
Well, it's not up there right now because I'm staying correct.
Okay.
So let's if we stay to one side. After a while it'll probably pop up an arrow that I'm concentrating too much on one side, and it'll because I'm
there you are.
Yeah. Yep. So now it's telling me, it says get over, Jones. So and how that works is it's reading the plunger load, those load cells I talked about earlier. There's 2 connecting rods that are shoving that hay back in there on the plunger.
Yep.
And it reads that the right one is getting more of a load than the left one, so it's essentially the electronics are telling you to move over so they can have equal amount of load. Yep. And that's
so you
works.
have a pretty decent sized windrow here, so for the most part you're just kind of straight down the middle.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
And if your windrow is light, do you end up having to weave with a big round baler you got to weave with?
I mean, these you have to weave with. Round balers and any type of large square baler you have to weave with. Now, the reason I don't have to weave too much is that we've done this long enough to know where we need to set our curtain at on our rake. If we'd have that curtain slid in and make a tighter row and make a higher row if you need air to get through there to dry it out. But we have this row width set up for just this baling. These rows are about 3 foot wide, and we're sending them into a 3 foot wide chamber, so you really don't have to weave too much. The only reason you have to weave is if you weren't paying attention and you'd have to get over.
Well, going back to your rake operator too, like you said, if he's giving you good consistent windrows of the right width, it makes your job a lot easier.
Is, yeah. Like I bail behind some other guys. It's like, oh my gosh, you got some big rows and some small rows, and Dad he's a phenomenal rake operator. He takes a lot of pride in it, to be honest with you. He just loves a nice tidy row, and he makes them straight.
So the baler's connection back here to the tractor, obviously you got a PTO, right?
Yeah.
Big cable that comes back for the monitor and all the stuff that it's going to tell you then.
All the electronics.
Hydraulically, we got 2 remotes?
2 remotes, one to run the pickup up and down, and the other will run your chamber pressure. Yeah.
So the one for the pickup then, you just basically throw that guy in float and the pickup does
just let it float its thing. You do have to watch it on your groundhog poles. I know there was a guy I stopped with the other day. His rake operator raked right over top of stump, just jammed the stump right into and just wrecked the pickup. So it all falls on the rake operator. So we'll move through here a little slower. It's a pretty big row.
The remote for your chamber pressure then, is that
just stays locked in the whole time.
It runs constantly.
Yep, you just keep sending fluid back there, and the baler does its own thing.
And then does that fluid dump out to something, or does it come back to return line?
It comes to return line. Yeah.
You got your 5 dummy flags up on top. What's that telling you?
Well, these flags are telling me, essentially, if one pops up much higher than the other ones, that you missed a knot, and you need to restring essentially your twine back in there. It's slacker arms inside there that keep tension on the twine, and those reflectors up there are attached to the slacker arms. So if those slacker arms, if there's no twine tension, they go straight up in the air, and it tells you that you need to get off and rethread the twine back down in. Yeah, so that's all they're doing up there. Of course, you have the knotter fans up there too, blowing chaff out of the way.
And you have a harvest tech system on this, right?
Yep, it's all automatic system.
Right, so you got a monitor for that up here that's monitoring moisture and then applying the right amount of acid.
Yep. So.
And the real reason for doing that is what?
Well, essentially, like we're baling a field, and like any other field, it has some trees around it for the most part. Right now, our last bale, it says, was 9%. It's running, it's low, so that means it's below 8% moisture on this bale. It'll give me the actual preservative that it's putting on, the pounds per ton versus the targeted rate, which you have it set for. Pushing on automatic, and I do have crop eyes on the pickup, so it'll kick out when it's not going through. I don't think they're operating right now because they might be a little dirty because they're not kicking out.
So sometimes I hear guys that put acid on just as a way to get out and bale in higher moisture.
Yeah.
But you're at 9, so you're not really high at all.
No, we're not. We're not even applying anything.
Okay, so the applicator's not even running right now.
I keep it running all the time because if you get in your first hedgerow, it's in the shadows of some trees, just let it go, do its thing, and and you might get a couple tough spots, just spray it on as needed basis.
So even though the middle of the field's totally dry, it's still there.
It's still running. I mean, we bailed through a waterway, and waterways have reed canary grass in them, so if it needs to spray it on there, it'll spray it. But it's been pretty dry. Of course, this has been tedded up twice, just the humidity we've been having. But yeah, I just leave that thing, let it do its thing, don't mess with it, and it'll tell you if it's too wet or too dry to bale.
As far as running the machine, if I'm not out here running my yapper in your ear, you got the radio on usually.
Oh my God, man! That's why we bought this Jensen from Messick's. It has Bluetooth on it. I gotta keep my phone plugged in because the battery will run dead on it. You know, I'm either jamming to some Texas country or on the phone or whatever.
So after you do it long enough, you're not really thinking so much anymore about what you're doing. It's just kind of it's automatic.
It's all it's just muscle memory.
Would you say it's comfortable enough that you're relaxed doing this?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Some of my buddies, man, they'll keep their legs out like that and just bale hay. They'll eat their lunch.
Yeah.
It's not as comfortable as having like auto steer. You can't have that on hay. But not on baling.
His cute blue headphones.
That's my little guys, man. He'll be in here watching. He'll watch Blippi. So and of course, I like to listen to my stuff. So I'll give him my phone. He can listen to his cartoons and bale hay. And having him out, that is just fun. He does get bored after a while, and it's like, well, I'd probably get bored too if I was just riding around.
Yeah.
So, but no, he enjoys it. He knows the difference between big squares and little squares and round bales. And my dad always told me, he said, once you have your own little guy, he said, you won't realize how fun it is until he's around. Sure enough, man, he'll plop down there on the floor and or be standing up watching it. We might see a deer run across the field. He loves it.
Nothing better when you're kid like that to get out with dad and do work and hang out in the tractor. And
so he loves combines and balers and loaders and anything like that. So, but it is fun, just keeping them exposed to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now we're slowing down here, right? Just back around the baler again. So the windrow got really heavy.
Yep. So
this is a power shift, so you just shift down there?
Just bump it down there. Yep. That's the beauty of it. I was thinking about. A buddy of mine has a TW30 he wants to sell. Some TW30s, of course, they're old 8x2 transmissions. And I'm like, man, I like nostalgic. I like my old iron. So, and then of course this is a new iron, but it's not old iron.
Right. And
he said, Jake, who was doing the little baling, he said, you gotta realize, he said, you aren't gonna be able to, if you do get into heavy rill, you're not gonna be able just to bump down a gear. You gotta be pushing a clutch in, throwing levers. And I was like, that's a really good point. I did not think about that. So the power shift, and even the guys that are running the auto commands on newer New Hollands, they love them.
Tap it. And
tap it.
Yeah. And really, like this, that makes it easier and more comfortable. And even just running this bigger baler too, like running the small square, you feel the plunger a lot more than you do in here.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to big baling, you have to make sure the tractor's the boss, not underpower yourself. I mean, there's a reason why that raking tractor isn't on this. You know what I mean? It got, you know, you say maybe at least 120 horse tractor on a 3x3 baler. Well, this one's I think 185 at the PTO stub, and it's not essentially the power to run this baler, it's just the weight. I mean, we're not on hilly ground by any means, but I've baled some hay down around Jefferson Hill climbs, just where it's just steep, and man, you have to have a tractor that's the boss and not the baler. You'll be in some pretty dangerous situations. Run duals. I don't like running duals because we're on the road so much. We're just running these big floaters here, I guess you want to call them. But yeah, just have a heavy tractor on the baler just for safety, man. I mean, yeah, I don't want to be pushed around all day. I'd rather drag that baler than have it drag me around.
Yeah. Thank you.
You betcha.
For the time that we took out here today. I hope that you guys enjoyed that, the time that we were able to spend back here going back and forth, and just the banter that we were able to have about this equipment. You may look at somebody out driving through the field packing hay into a baler as somebody who's just squeezing a bunch of grass into blocks. But know that there's a lot more artistry to running this equipment and knowing your machinery and how to tune it and how to run it just right in order to make the best quality product. And I really am impressed by the work that we did out here today. We've got a lot of nice, healthy looking bales that are in great shape and are gonna sell well, which is really what this is about at the end of the day, right? We're running a business here. So
it's for sale if anyone wants to buy it.
His links will be down here in the description. If you have any parts needs for machines you've already got, you're shopping for a piece of equipment, or we can help you tune up a piece that you've already got, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at messick's.com. You seem to have an appreciation for the quality side of it then.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, if you're getting a master's in.
Yes, I love hay, man. I live and breathe hay. And like originally we didn't do mulch hay. My in-laws, they'd help us out with mulch hay, some other local farmers. We just give it to them. We say, hey, you know, we were first starting out.